Hello, greetings everybody, welcome. I'm at home in Tokyo, and one of the questions that I keep getting asked by a lot of people is Kyoto worth visiting? I've really been tough on the cultural center of Japan, at least that's what many people consider it to be. It's one of many, I think. But I'm going to try to answer this question today with maps and show you some images from there, as well as talk to a resident of Kansai, Kevin Riley, who has been on the show many, many times. Unfortunately, Kevin can't join us live, so I have an interview queued up where we talked about it. He goes to Kyoto maybe once or twice a week. He's doing tours in that area, so hopefully this could be something that's really useful to everybody who's considering going to Kyoto. I know that I haven't been to Kyoto. Good afternoon, everybody. I haven't been to Kyoto in a little while, but I find myself there quite a bit because of the nature of the job that I do. Bringing content about Japan, it's hard to not go to Kyoto. But the point that I've been making over the last couple of months, in particular since tourism started in November of 2022, is that tourism there is just really concentrated in Kyoto coming to Japan since November of 2022. So almost a full year. And what we've seen is a lot of people are not going off of the beaten path to go to other areas. Thus, I've been trying really hard to try to find other areas that have an amazing amount of Japanese culture for you to go and visit. And I think I've done a pretty good job of it. I'll do you one better. Is Kyoto good to live? Sandrock, really? Well, let me know the answer to that if you live there. I'll give you my feedback as much as I can as somebody who's been to Kyoto many, many times and talk to people who did live there as well. Kyoto is always been a popular tourist destination. Let's look at this VTR that I made here, and I'm going to show you the map of what Kyoto is beforehand. So let me show you this first here. Kyoto is, this is Kinkakuji, or the Golden Pavilion. And you can see it's nestled on the side of a hill in what looks like a wooded area. It's a really beautiful location. There's a bus stop not far away, so tourists can get there quite easily by bus. But if you pan out, you can see what Kyoto City really looks like. It looks like this. It is all urban in the center. There's the castle, Nijo Castle right there. Heian Shrine is a little bit to the left. You know, there's dotted places, some temples and shrines in between there. That's the river. There's Heian Jingu Shrine, the Orange Shrine, which is a very cultural aspect. And then there's Higashiyama, which is where Kiyomizudera is, Higashiyama Ward. This is Ninenzaka, which probably is one of the most crowded areas besides Kinkakuji, the Golden Pavilion. There's not a lot of other attractions around Kinkakuji, the Golden Pavilion, which is why it might be so crowded at the time. But the Ninenzaka stairway, which you can see going up here, has these really old buildings, and it's such a beautiful area to be. But look at those narrow alleys. The roads are not very wide, and they get congested full of tourists, especially in the late morning and early afternoon. You can see some really pictures. There's Hokanji Temple, which has in the background that beautiful scene where people walk in yukata. You want to try to get a photo there. But the Higashiyama region, probably the most popular in Kyoto, as well as Kinkakuji, and Arashiyama, maybe not as crowded over there, but again, the places that are popular, you can see that the roads are very narrow. So it leads to congestion. I don't know if congestion is, your thing, but that's not what I think of when I think of traditional Japan, and that, wow, the harmony, the zen that you're looking for, when you're like at peace with a rock garden or something like this. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often unless you have special access to go into the places. Kevin and I went to Kyoto, the last time was about 5 years ago. This is Ninenzaka, the stairways that I just showed you a second ago. This is from 2014, actually. And you can see even in the fall how narrow it is. And this is before the tourism boom, okay? Now it's maybe triple this in the peak times. It's kind of uncomfortable. That building is now a Starbucks. Before it was just a regular cafe. This is Ninenzaka. The stairways are very narrow, and everybody wants to get a picture here, so it gets very congested in particular. So I always tell people to go early in the morning. This is Kinkakuji. as soon as it opened. This was like 6:30 in the morning, I believe. It was ridiculously early we went, and still I ran, got in a position, and you can see the people behind me were coming so quickly. The Golden Pavilion, and this is like 5 minutes later. All the school and then the tours came in. Of course, it's kind of fun. Here come even more tours. This is like 10 minutes later, and I wasn't around. I didn't stick around for 30 minutes later. Kevin and I were like out of there really quickly. And this is, I think, 15 minutes later. And you can see it is not a pleasant place to be unless you get there first thing in the morning. So if you want to do Kinkakuji and there's nothing else you want to do in the morning, get there as soon as it opens. Let me see if I have some video of it. We were the first one at the gates. I had a special permission to film in there at the time, but the problem was that they wouldn't let me in. They made me go with everybody else. Oh, I wanted to show you Kurama Station. This is on the Keihan line, and this is also Kyoto. So this is about a 30-minute ride on the train away from Kyoto City. And you have onsen, you have uncrowded streets, and that actually is Kyoto. This is the side that I wanted to show you. So when I'm referring to Kyoto, I'm not referring to this. I'm referring to this, which is Ninenzaka. So it's a big contrast between Kurama, which is, I think everybody should go to. Kyoto's got an amazing countryside. In the fall in particular, the Keihan line runs through this Momiji tunnel of color. Just the trees are so beautifully lit up at night too. The train is also crowded because it is Kyoto. But it's one of those train rides, if you love Japanese trains, that you should not miss. But going to Kurama, there's onsen there. It's a great place to stay. Not as many accommodations, but you have that old world feel that you miss in the city of Kyoto. And when you go and you stay in Kyoto, you're staying in that urban area. There's nice places. Don't get me wrong. They're machiya. They're very stylish. They're very expensive, but they're in the city, and it's congested in there. You don't just have the tourists. You have also the local residents. Christian writes in here, I was just in Kyoto last week during my first trip to Japan. It was beautiful. I like how close surrounding cities are. Nara was my favorite. Christian, I'm glad that you had a good time in Kyoto, but you don't have to stay in Kyoto. In fact, you could stay in Nara, or you could stay in Osaka, which we're going to talk to with Kevin Riley. And if you want, Ampaman, who is our special guest today behind me. He doesn't talk. Just sort of sits there creepily, especially at night. It's not, you always think he's going to come to life and attack you at night, but he stays there, doesn't move. Kyoto is maybe not the best place to stay, but a place that you can go and to do day trips from. There's lots of different ways to do it. But the bottom line, let me just get to it, because I want to get everything that you need, the information, in the first 10 minutes. If it's your first trip to Japan, by all means, you should visit Kyoto. I think that it would be a waste not to, unless, you didn't really care so much about museums and temples and shrines, which you can get tired of pretty quickly. I think you can do Higashiyama on a day trip, which I think it really encapsulates the Kyoto experience. You can do Kiyomizudera, which is the water temple. It's beautiful on stilts from 1,300 years ago or 700 years ago. I can't quite remember the history. I think it was 1300 AD. And then there's Kinkakuji, which I think you really don't need to see. If you see the picture or the thumbnail, I think you've seen it. It's nice to see in person maybe. Then there's Arashiyama, which can be a second day trip, but you don't really need to stay in Kyoto. I think it makes more sense to stay in Osaka, where there's good nightlife, and it's an easier access to get to Nara, to Himeji, to Hiroshima, even to get from Shin Osaka to Tokyo. When you get on the train, usually the trains originate at Shin Osaka, you can get a seat. This is particularly useful if you have the JR Rail Pass and you can't ride the Nozomi. You have to get a seat reservation or Juseki, which is unreserved seats. It's always good to be at the origin. By the time you get on Kyoto, it's a little bit harder. The pickings are slimmer, let's just say. So I hope that that's kind of useful to you to understand. I would say that if it's your first time, you do have to visit Kyoto. You don't have to stay there. All the things like the cuisine, the food, you can get geisha action in Kanazawa, which isn't quite as crowded and might be more friendlier because it's a smaller city. And it's not a city in the sense that Kyoto is. Kyoto is quite a sprawling urban asphalt jungle. It's not what you think, except in the Higashiyama region. But if you're trying to get from one attraction to the other, you're either staying in the Higashiyama area or you're going through this asphalt jungle on a bus. And the public transportation is not that great. But that's why I said maybe it's good for day trips, you know. If the attractions are opening at 9 a.m. and you have jet lag, get on a train, go to Kyoto at 5 a.m. from Osaka, get on the first train there, see the empty streets from 6 to 7:30 or 8, then go to Kinkakuji or go to the temple before it gets really crowded, and get the heck out of there at 10:30. Go back to Osaka or Himeji Castle, which is also going to be really crowded, or go to Nara and spend the night there instead, or go to Hiroshima and spend the night on Miyajima, which I think is the best place to stay if you have a chance in a night. Miyajima is incredible because everybody does Miyajima as a day trip, and I think that's a big mistake because the island comes to life at sunset when all the day trippers go away. You want to be on Miyajima and Hiroshima. So, I mean, are you doing it wrong? I don't know, but it's your vacation, it's your trip, you've done the research, you can figure it out. And when people ask me for itineraries, I tell them quite simply, I don't know who you are. I don't know what your budgets are. I don't know where, you know, I live here too, so I don't particularly stay in hotels in Tokyo. So I'm not always the best person to ask advice about, in particular for Tokyo. But when it comes to Kyoto as a tourist, I would not stay the night there because it's so crowded, it's so expensive, there's taxes there. I don't think the nightlife is that great, although that there's, you know, some really nice alleys. I mean, more than one night, I can't see why. That's the thing. There are better places to stay. And I think Kurama might be one option as well because they do have onsen, they do have countryside, they do have that rural feel, but things close really early. There's no nightlife, you're basically stuck in the hotel. Osaka opens it up a lot more. And I'm going to play the interview that, and we have Sir Lance Geo writes in here, nightlife is better in Osaka. I cannot agree more. Just the nightlife, the people are friendlier in a sense that it's more casual. There's a lot of standing bars. There's a lot of bars. You don't have to stay in Dotonbori. You can find places around Osaka Station. It is so old school and so much fun. Osaka, in many ways, is really authentic. Of course, Kyoto is authentic. But I think if there's so many tourists there that they cater to that. Osaka does not cater to tourists. Osaka is a city. It's just what it is. Tokyo might a little bit, but Kyoto definitely does. If you're going to Bakudai Fire Ramen, everything's in English. They cater to tourists because all you see around you are tourists. There's no locals there. That's Kyoto. You know, the attractions, they're made for mostly international tourists now, or at least they're very used to it. And of course, Japanese domestic tourists, kids will go there for class trips. You'll see a lot of that. Michael Susano's in the house. Glad I caught you live. Hey, Michael. Oh, by the way, Michael, I'm going to send this to you via Brandy. This is the Only in Japan Happy. And yeah, this is a new one. I was going to give Brandy mine, which kind of was a little sweaty, but I just got them in the mail. So that's coming your way, buddy. Mahalo. Kyoto is a laid-back place, but it is serene. Kyoto is a laid-back place in places. You know, if you're going to Gion, you can sit on the riverside. You can sit and have a bento, or you can buy some beer at a convenience store. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can find places to really relax in Kyoto, but with tourism returning and the attractions becoming more and more crowded, it's not that easy to feel it. And I mean, if you're going from attraction to attraction throughout the day, you're going to be exhausted. You will be. And I think you can get a very similar experience in other places. And as an unofficial ambassador of Japan to the West, it's my job to introduce some of those places to you. And I think, you know, if you watch Only Japan Go and the main channel, you'll get a feeling that the beauty of Japan lies not in its cities, but in the countryside. And Kyoto is a city, at least the center of it. There are beautiful temples and shrines. There's some must-visit ones. I think Kiyomizudera, you know, you should probably visit. There's, Kinkakuji, I think you can skip it. It's just a golden pavilion, and it's so hard to get to. It takes so much time, and there's nothing really in that, unless maybe it's on the way to Arashiyama, but, you know, there's a lot of traffic between you and Kinkakuji. Let me just put it like that. There's a lot of places that are, I was just in Kochi, and I think I showed you a drone video. I don't know if I have it queued up here. I showed you a drone video of this, and I think, you know, it was absolutely stunning. All right, there's a little bit of music there, but I wanted to show you, like, you can find the beauty of Japan outside of Kyoto. It exists, and there's nobody here. I'm on this perch on a cliff on the end of Kochi on Shikoku Prefecture overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And this is my view. This is the drone shot slowed down with AI software in 8K. It'll be in an episode pretty soon. I mean, this is what you're looking for in Japan, right? You don't get this in Kyoto. Well, you have to go outside of the city center to get something like this. But in Kochi, my gosh, you get it almost everywhere. It's just pure nature. This is what Japan is, at least in my mind, and this is what I would hope you would experience as a tourist. You guys want to keep watching this one? I guess I can show it to you a little bit more. That's a stunning shot with the sea in the background. I think that's what you're looking for, right? I would think so. I showed that earlier in another live stream, but those types of places exist in the countryside of Japan, and there's loads of them. And I think if you have a JR Rail Pass, it's worth traveling to get to those destinations. Spend your time to get there where you feel it. You're immersed in the local culture. You're rewarded with the effort to go to these places with something like that. Whereas Kyoto, I think it's just too easy to get to, perhaps. You don't need a license to fly a drone here, but you need to register your drone online. You get a registration number, and you have to follow the rules, which is the 30, 30, 30, 150 rule. 30 meters from buildings, people, cars, and no higher than 150 meters. That's the maximum for recreational drones without a permit, okay? If you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, that's a different question. But we get thunderstorms coming into Tokyo right now too. So there's a lot of really beautiful places. So I want to point out though that Kyoto is more than just the center, which is at the urban sprawl here, right? Kyoto is a lot more than the urban sprawl. Kyoto is a prefecture. It's one of 47 in Japan, and it has a lot of space. It goes all the way to the Sea of Japan, and it has Uji. It has it has a lot of attractions out in the countryside that are worth it. But this central Kyoto is so crowded. There's a lot of temples and shrines and history, but I don't know if it's I don't know if it's worth it. You're gonna have to make that call. Let's now talk with the master. This is Kevin Riley. He's lived in Kansai for as long as I've lived in Japan. He's been here maybe a year longer than me, and it shows. Maybe we both got white hair on the. And I showed you a little bit of video before when we were a little bit younger. I think I might have that to queue up after this. But I want you to listen to the interview and let me know what you think in the chat. I'll be reading along as we watch this play. Riley, the Lord of Kansai, which includes Kyoto. How are you?
Great. It's a nice day today, not too hot.
Yeah, you're on the move. The question here today is Kyoto. What's it like visiting Kyoto after the pandemic? Because you were there just recently with tourists. You were taking them as a guide, right?
Yeah, I've been going up there a lot. I was just up there a couple days ago again, and it's not as bad now as it was like March, and Golden Week was insane. It was really hard to even get through the streets because I drive a hybrid van, which is kind of quiet, and people don't hear it, and it's like all over the place. It's just unbelievable. It's like doing a slalom, human slalom to get through there.
Oh, geez, I don't want to hear that.
But no, it's it depends where you go in Kyoto. Like for example, King Kakuji, not one of my favorite places to go because all the bus tours come there. And that's just really crowded. If you're gonna go there, you're gonna find that you're just gonna be waiting in line to get through. So I don't really recommend it. Arashiyama's not bad. That's where I go a lot. And if you go up to Arashiyama, you kind of like you get up to the bamboo forest. Well, the bamboo forest is nice, but it's crowded. But once you get through it, once you get up the top of the bamboo forest, there's a few less people up there. And then you go up into like Okochi Sanso, which is a garden that was built by a black and white movie artist a long time ago. And you have to pay 1,000 yen to get in, so a lot of people don't go in. So that means you got it all to yourself. It's a lot quieter. It's a nice little place. You go and have a cup of tea there. Go down over to the river, go down to the river, and along the river, it just peters out right away. Like, a lot of people don't go that way.
Right.
So then you go down the river, and it's a lot quieter. You can get away from everybody. And it's really nice along the river, and you get the Togetsu Bridge, you get the view from the side. So I highly recommend places like that. Higashiyama, where you've got Kiyomizudera,
Ninenzaka. Yeah.
That's crowded. Yeah, that's a lot of people there. It's again, you're just fighting crowds. You're going through places like that.
Well, I think with the Chinese tourists, they're starting to return now. Tourists from China never really focused on Kyoto. They were all over the country, maybe for shopping, maybe to eat. They didn't need to go to Kyoto, so we did see them, tourists from mainland China. But now that they're starting to come back, I get a feeling that Kyoto's going to get a little bit more crowded with that. But I always wonder why Kyoto. There's so many other really amazing places to go. Or if you're going to stay in Kansai, which you can make Kyoto not your base, right? Because the accommodations are way more expensive in Kyoto.
Yeah.
Where would you recommend in Kansai to base out of? I think I know the answer.
Yeah, you know the answer, but yeah, no, because it's such a hub, Osaka. From Osaka, you can go up to Kyoto for a day trip. You can go over to Nara for a day trip. You can go over to Kobe for a day trip. You go down to Koya Mountain up in Wakayama, which is a really nice place to go. Especially in summer, it's cooler up there. You can hop the Shinkansen from here, and you can be in Hiroshima in an hour and a half.
Right.
An hour, you can be at Himeji Castle, which is a really nice day trip. Go to Himeji and then eat at one of the restaurants in front of Himeji. So it's a great hub, and yeah, you get hotels here that are cheaper.
Right.
So it's definitely more reasonable. We got a lot of new hotels that get built during COVID.
Right.
So they knew that tourism was coming back. So
yeah.
There was a couple that didn't survive that got built early, but a lot of them are under the Marriott umbrella.
Okay.
So they were able to, they're like, yeah, we can build. And when things got, everybody started coming back, they were ready, and it's been fantastic. I go to a lot of those hotels, pick people up, and they're really good.
Nightlife is so much better in Osaka as well, right?
Oh yeah, if you're downtown, like you got the Namba area. So of course you got all the nightlife there. But then also we got like Kiyobashi and Kempa. There's great little izakaya, Japanese pubs out there. So it's great to go out there. We actually do a couple night tours out there sometimes. I don't do them out often myself, but I've done a few, and they're fun because you go out there and you hit a couple little izakaya. People are very friendly. You know what Osakans are like. They're kind of.
Yeah, Kevin, I think I know. We're talking to one right now.
Yeah, they're right there. I've had quite a few times where I've taken tours out and we've gone out for a night of eating and drinking, and next thing you know, like the locals are just like sidling up beside him and talking.
It's fun.
Yeah, just they're communicating. Even if the language barrier doesn't really stop them, type things. That's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So
but
it
of
is.
course, I think you and I have been down to Shinsekai too.
Yes.
That's
yes.
a place for night too. There's a lot happening down there.
Shinsekai, where it's a big sword and knife center. They also made guns in the Meiji era when they got rid of the samurai. Right. This is the big weapons zone of Osaka. It's
right. Well, yeah.
A lot of history.
Tamaskuri up here, Tamaskuri, which means ball making. All the balls. We still call bullets tama, even though they're not balls anymore. But
right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great places. I always tell people Tokyo is a good place to fly into, but maybe not. Kansai is even better because just the Kansai region is stacked with attractions. Not just Kyoto. I'm talking like Nara,
Oh, yes.
Wakayama. We have Koyasan nearby, which is a real authentic. If you're looking for Buddhist, what's it called? That cuisine.
Oh, Shojin Ryori.
Shojin Yuri. Yeah. You have that. It's actually quite good. You get a chance, a really authentic experience at Koyasan, which is not on a lot of people's radars for some reason. I think that's more of a cultural experience in Kyoto in many ways because you're more
Yeah.
in the countryside.
Well, my sister and her husband many years ago, like they're vegetarians, so they went up to Koyasan and had a great time. They stayed in one of the temple. You can do a temple stay,
Yeah.
and then they reached Shojin Ryori, and it was just perfect for them. You know, so it's it's a really good place to go. And to stay in summer, you get out of the heat.
Sure.
Like cooper up there. Yeah, I never got there this summer, but I usually like to go up there in the summer, but this summer was just too busy.
Yeah, I bet. So if you don't already know, Kevin Riley does tours around Osaka, and he booked solid for the next 3 months, I think. No, or you have some spaces available.
Yeah, there's a couple little spaces available.
Check his
September's
calendar.
pretty booked up, October's pretty booked up, November's going. I already got tours booked for next year. I had to go out and buy a calendar for next year because it was starting to book
Holy
up.
Toledo.
Writing it down.
That's crazy.
It's just been, yeah, it was crazy. March, I worked every day. Didn't take a single day off.
Where are the tourists that you take around Kansai? Where do they want to go the most?
Yeah, well, I think basically Osaka becomes, I say, it's number one for a tour around Osaka.
Because you talk them
Number two
into
is
it.
Kyoto.
Do you talk them into it, or that's what they?
No, really. No, it's just that do an Osaka tour that takes them to the castle and go to Sumiyoshi Taisha,
Right.
go to Shinsekai, and all these different places. It's like a very variety. And then, of course, it was very flexible. Just depends on the people, too, what they want. We did the Nissin factory one day where we went out and made our own
Cup of noodles.
noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. So there's always something to do, always something different. And I guess there's just so much to do in Osaka. That's one of the reasons. Then Kyoto. I'm going to go to Kyoto. And sometimes I get people after they've been in Kyoto. And the kids are always funny because they're like, man, we're templed out.
Yeah, right. You seen one? You seen them all? Kind of. Yeah.
No temples today. We got a lot of other things to do here. So yeah, Kyoto definitely is number two. Nara doesn't get as much. Nara really, there's the deer park. Some people want to go see the deer, and then the big Buddha in Todaiji.
Right.
Yeah, you were just there. What?
Couple weeks ago. Yeah.
The cleaning. Yeah.
Month ago now. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Todaiji is quite popular, and sometimes we go up to Nigatsudo, and then over to the big Taisha up there, Kasuga Taisha.
Sure.
But really, it's usually a half-day trip to Nara, and then we're off. We take the back road up to Kyoto. Oh, great. Thank you, clouds. It's starting to rain.
Oh, is it? Oh, crap. All right. Well, we can end it here. So basically, Kyoto is much more crowded than it's been in a long time, and for first timers coming to Japan for the first time, you recommend it. But are we in agreement? Like it should be maybe a day trip rather than trying to spend your vacation in Kyoto?
Yeah, it's either that or
It's a nice place. I think.
Days here, I say do it this way: spend a couple days there, spend a couple days in Osaka. Because for Osaka, I say for Osaka, you can do so many different things, so many things to see.
Right.
I went through Nishiki. You were United Nishiki Market?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Now it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was really nice during COVID. I went through there, and it was just about empty. And now you're pushing your way through people. It takes a while to get through.
And there's so many darn markets that are just as good as that place, but it's just got the name recognition and it's in Kyoto. But
Oh yeah, we've got. I mean, when people come to Osaka, we've got Kurumon.
right. That's a better market. It's more authentic, and you have a ton of street food. More.
Yeah. Well, when I first came to Osaka, Kurumon was basically just a fish market. There's a couple of other food stores there, but that was it. I mean, it was the fish market here. Now it's kind of it's moved out to by the river, and it's got a little bit more touristified. Yeah, definitely. But there's one strange store that sells croissants. And just like in a fish market, I'm looking at it going, croissants. Yeah, that just doesn't look right here.
That sounds more like an Osaka thing than anything else. Anything goes.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Can sell croissants and really good ones in a fish market. Why not? I think fishermen, the last thing they want to eat is fish.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
little culture. All right, well, thanks, Kevin. We'll come down and see you sometime real soon. Again, this is if you want to check out Kevin's channel, Kuma's Kitchen.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to be cooking something tomorrow. I got tomorrow off, too, so tomorrow I'm going to be cooking up one of my dishes.
What is it?
I'm thinking tomorrow is going to be, I'm making an anchovy spread.
Whoa.
I know, this is going to be one of those things that not everybody likes, because, I mean, anchovies, either you love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
But an anchovy spread with cheese, grilled cheese. I like it, but we'll see how many people like that one.
Is it raining and you're sheltering under a tree?
I'm under a tree, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll let you go. Thanks, Kevin. I guess that's it.
All right. It seems like that. Yeah, that we're at the end of the video there. So Kevin Riley, we lost him there. So that his feedback is really important because he's somebody who lives in Osaka. He takes people to Kyoto, other foreign visitors that are coming there, and he's been doing it for several months now. I think since the tourism started back in 2022. And yeah, he says it's quite crowded. In particular, Nishiki Market, he said, is overrun right now, and there's options in Osaka for markets that are better. Now, it's a good market that they have there, but markets aren't exclusive to Kyoto. That one in particular, I would avoid right now. I don't know. You can go there, check it out, and leave. It's pretty much in the center near Gion anyway, so it's worth taking it out. What do you think, Ampaman? Yeah, he's with us here. I got a couple of questions here. Thanks, guys, everybody. We have here Daniel, Kevin, and John, the collaboration we've been waiting for again. I'm hoping to go down, Daniel, to see Kevin in the next couple of months. I've just been so busy, and with him doing the tours as well, he's quite busy during the day too, and it's hard to meet up. But I've got some great ideas to do down in Kansai, so I'm looking forward to having Kevin back on the show, maybe even this fall, right? There's a couple of ideas where I'm working on permits to get for filming. And Amanda wrote in here that she visited Kyoto last week and enjoyed it very much. Makes a change from Tokyo and Osaka. People need to step outside of their comfort zones. I agree with you there. I think people need to see what they want to see first of all. But I think if you're going to really enjoy Japan, I think that Kyoto is just one dimension, and it's not even to me the biggest dimension. It's like a place that I almost avoid now because maybe I've seen it more than a lot of people, I admit. But if anything from this series, I hope that I can encourage you to maybe spend less time there and to spend more time somewhere else that probably will appreciate your business or appreciate your visit more, and you'll probably get a better experience, friendlier people, just different cuisine. Japan is not the biggest country in the world by far. It is not big. But it is big to me because I see the diversity within that country, the 47 prefectures, the regional dialects, the regional cuisine. You can eat your way across Japan and it'll be different kinds of foods or so many different variations of it that it will just blow you away with so much different, like, you don't expect that because Japanese cuisine is not just sushi. It's not just gyudon beef bowls. It's not just this. Inside of it, the diversity of food is insane. And then you have westernized Japanese Western food that's been Japanized. And like having spaghetti in Japan in itself is an experience. In fact, I'm looking for, if you're Italian and you're coming here, I would love to do an episode with you to take you to one of the most Japanized Italian dishes in the world. It would be interesting to get your point of view because Italian food is like, everybody loves Italian food. Well, almost everybody. Lost the sound. Really? I don't know why. So I'm getting some Your audio is very low. I don't know what I can do to help you guys out here. Apparently people can hear me just fine. So I don't know. Yeah, I hope this was useful for you. I wanna answer your questions. So if you have some, let me know right now. Um, I didn't have time to set up anything on the Discord server, but I want to try I want to point you into the direction of our Discord server because this is a place where we do get a lot of back and forth, and I'm not the only person that can ask you. I'm not the only person that can ask you questions. You know what I mean? Like, or answer your questions. There's a lot of other people that can do that too. Yeah, there's a lot of people who can do that too. So I think it's a good place to do that. So let me see what you got here. The poll answer. I also asked a question for the Q&A here, and I didn't get any responses that I can see. It says, "What's a good alternative to Kyoto?" That's in the live chat right now, and I haven't seen any responses to that. It should be pinned to the top of it. And we did a poll, and it seems like the majority of people said that Kyoto is a must-visit place, and I agree with them. It's just how you visit Kyoto is something you should consider a little bit more. Kyoto is a must-visit place, but that doesn't mean that you need to stay there. You can do day trips there very effectively. The issue with Kyoto, again, is the overcrowding, the over-tourism, and the lack of public transportation that makes sense. It's not the easiest place to get around. Osaka's public transportation is incredible. You have subway lines that will hit everywhere, and a diversity of public transportation. There's the subway, there's the JR above ground, there are private rail lines as well. There's like several options to get to Nara, to get to Himeji, to get to Kyoto from Osaka. And the reason why, and I know Jennifer doesn't get, I know Jennifer doesn't, oh, we answered in chat. Okay, thank you, Saya. I know Jennifer doesn't get, Jennifer French doesn't get the attraction of Osaka, but Osaka is just a city. But it's got such a strong region. It's the strongest regional city. Wow, we got some really strong lightning here. Osaka is the strongest regional city in Japan with culture, I think. It's got interesting cuisine that's different than other places as well. Osaka does cuisine better. They call Osaka the kitchen of Japan for good reason, because a lot of the marketplaces, they have amazing fresh seafood. They got the inlet sea there. The food there is just incredible. They have access to some of the best farms and beef, Matsuzaka beef, Kobe beef. They're all right around Osaka. So this is a place where you're going to eat maybe even better than in Tokyo. You also have less crowds, maybe, but you have a lot of. I always thought Osaka was friendlier, and it was easier to talk with people than in Tokyo, where everyone's a stranger in Tokyo because everybody comes from everywhere, and people are a little bit more standoffish. Osakans are mostly Osaka, and you have this more friendly nature when you go out drinking, for example. People just have a better sense of humor, I thought, and it's more relaxed than Tokyo, that's for sure. It's not a boring place. I've never had a boring time in Osaka, ever. There's just so much amazingness to that city. I hope that this is useful. Again, I'm trying to go back and look at the questions. There's some good ones here. DB writes in here, "My wife's family lives in the countryside in Japan, and I enjoy just staying at home and being there, just doing ordinary, everyday things, going to the market, going out to eat." The one thing we did on our bus tour was that we went to, this is the bus tour that I had, we just finished this. We went to the regional supermarket on this bus trip. Before we went to the station, we had 30 minutes, and the guide said, "Let's stop off at the supermarket." And that might have been one of the most fascinating aspects of it, because the supermarkets in the countryside are a little bit different than in Tokyo. They're just bigger and they have different stuff. And I thought that was interesting. And everybody who went to the supermarket got some stuff. I think it might have been cheaper than buying it at a gift shop. But I think that's a good thing to do on these trips. And, I'm talking with Ide-san, who helped me with this, to see if we can do more of these bus trips in 2024 and get some feedback. But I want to thank everybody that came to the bus trip this last week. It was a really fun time. Osaka is more relaxed than Kyoto. I think so. With the people, yes. I mean, are you relaxed for attractions? Yes. There's different. It's a city. It's a bustling city, but there's more space in the sense that, I mean, they're used to having a bunch of people. Kyoto, in the narrow alleys of Ninenzaka, it's just I've never felt. I felt relaxed when I went to Kyoto maybe 20 years ago. And now, since tourism really boomed in 2013 and onwards, I have not felt the same Kyoto. I don't know. Kyoto's always been pretty crowded though, but you don't get that same feeling unless you really get out of the city center, or you start quite early in the morning, which is my suggestion. Wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then walk the streets at that time, and you have the city almost to yourself. The photographers are out there though. They're smart. But Osaka, the people are pretty laid back. The people are funnier. I think there's a huge difference between Kyoto and Osaka. You could tell because the escalators. The Osakans want to stand on the right side and walk up the left. Tokyo stands on the left and walk up the right. Kyoto is just confusion because the Osakans are on the left side, right side, and the Tokyoites and the rest of the country is on the left side. So I'd say Kyoto is more in tune with Tokyo than Osaka. And I always felt like Osaka is just a special place in Kansai. I always thought that Kyoto was not as, didn't have that same Kansai vibe because they have somewhat an elitist feeling, like we are Kyoto, we're better than you type of a feeling. I don't know. So if you ask me if this is a place that you want to live, I would say it's not for me, but I don't know. I think it would be for some people. And it's just a city. So in the city, there's a little bit of everything for everybody. But if you're going to live in a city, I would pick Osaka for sure. That's just like a no-brainer. Nagoya is also amazing. I lived in Nagoya for 3 of my 25 years in Japan. And Nagoya is a very livable city. It's got everything in one area. But if I had to pick between livable cities, I would pick Hiroshima over Nagoya because I loved living in Hiroshima. And I lived in Hiroshima for about 2 years, so I loved living in Hiroshima. That's probably my favorite city to live in Japan because there's so much sunlight, the food is good, the people are friendly, and it's such a condensed city. It's like Shinjuku, Shibuya, Harajuku, all this in one, like confined down Hondori, and it's on the Shinkansen line. It's so convenient. You can get the Shimonoseki and catch the night ferry to Korea, where you can go there and eat. You can come back on Sunday night. You know, there's a lot of things you can do from Hiroshima. I loved living there. There you go. I hope that's useful. Leave me a comment below in the playback, and I will see you in the next live stream, probably tomorrow, as I get to work on editing another video. Bye-bye.